for skeptics, what are some things a therapist can provide for someone?
Well, depends on your therapist. In general, hopefully a therapist is understanding of you and willing to understand if they don't have that initial like ability to meet you where you're at. Just as an example, if you can't find a black therapist, or if you can't find a therapist who shares any of your other identities, as long as they're willing to see your perspective, that's good. And a therapist who also is able to guide you, just be present in your session and hear what you're saying. Along the things that I said, even if you have a therapist who's completely understanding and you feel like they hear you, it still has to fit with what you're looking for. So finding a specialist sometimes is beautiful. If you're grieving, if you've gone through a lot of grief at a certain amount of time, you might want to find a grief counselor. If you feel like you have extensive trauma, you might want to look for a trauma therapist, specifically EMDR and that kind of model, which is not hypnotism, but it's a very specific form of therapy that is specific to trauma, just as an example. So when Googling, it's helpful to look at these specialties rather than just someone general. And general therapy is great, but if you want something or someone that fits, that's usually what you search for. And we always tell people at Vision Towards Peace that it will probably take about a year for you to see significant change, and you have to give yourself that time to allow for all of the old lessons that you learned to kind of dissolve, to come into this new form of self, and that you also have to challenge yourself when things get hard to push forward. And again, that's like a 2 to 3 year time frame. Doesn't have to be your whole life, but it is something that you have to commit to, kind of like a relationship. And so when you start that relationship, it's good to interview your therapist. The same way, hopefully they're just as intrigued about you as you would be with them. And it is something that needs to be taken seriously as a relationship and a connection, because this person will be a significant part of your life, even if you see them twice a month.
So, I heard you say you usually tell them that it'll take a year. Now, what happens if a person's literally just living day to day? They're not looking at the future, but they're just living day to day, and they go to therapy because they want to just have somebody to talk to, because they don't have any family or whatever. They just need somebody to talk to. Now, can you speak on that? Like, is that a good thing to do? Is it bad?
Well, I'd say whatever gets people in the door. Whatever your motivation is to go to the therapy session, stick with that. Hopefully, you get to the point where you see the goals that you want are attainable, or the life you want is attainable, and you start to focus on that. I do believe that a therapist overall is to help you move forward. You don't want to stay stuck in what you were dealing with, but I'm also a therapist who believes in harm reduction. So if someone was coming to me living day to day, not able to shower, maybe we can think of some ways to at least keep up hygiene, but you haven't gotten to the shower yet. So you have wipes and your bedstand, or you have a way of cleaning yourself at the sink that takes 2 seconds as opposed to taking like a 15-minute shower. That's kind of how I like to do things until we get to the point where, now you're able to take a shower, all in due time, but still with the goal of seeing change at some point.
Which I like that. So basically, it's we're going to help you crawl before you can walk. I love it.
Right.
Well, thank you for today.
Yeah, thank you, Shar.